and it is really good to have all of you with us tonight. Expecting a good crowd tonight, and exciting days we're living in. Prophecy is coming to pass. The stage is being set while we while we're talking right now. Stage is being set for amazing things that are coming into play. Okay, this is February the 3rd, 2026, and the time is 8:13 p.m. Central Standard Time. And again, exciting, unbelievable days. Amazing what's going on in our world today. And so we want to jump right into this. We've been talking about the signs of the times. And I told you we were going to kind of end that with this. We talked about perilous times, dangerous times. That's one of the signs of the times. And no doubt about that, right? Let me see if I can get this just a little off. Here we go. The signs of the times. Perilous times shall come in the last days. Paul said, 2 Timothy 3. And boy, if you don't think these are dangerous times, you're not paying attention. And I mean, right here in America, of course, Canada's gone. It's crazy what's happened up there. And then we gave you two in the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 3. This is the running to and fro generation. Daniel was told by God that seal up the book. These things are not for you, Daniel, but they're for the generation. The final generation will be running to and fro. And boy, we're there, aren't we? We're the running to and fro generation. I did some of that today. Did you? And then the other half of that verse, chapter 12, verse 3 of Daniel, knowledge should be increased. The knowledge of the world is literally at your fingertips tonight, and even 1,000 times more because of the new AI stuff that's out there that we don't even understand completely. And so that was number 3. And then we had one man can effectively rule the world. That's a sign of the time. We're there. One man can rule the world from an airplane, from Air Force One, right? We said that's number 4. Number 5, for the first time in history, the world could destroy itself. And that was never possible till our generation. We talked in great detail about that and some of the weapons and bombs that exist today and that make World War II, Hiroshima, make that look like a little firecracker. And okay, I think I told you that one nuclear submarine today has more firepower than all the bombs dropped by all sides for the entire 4 or 5 years of World War II. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? How many submarines are out there? We could destroy the world as we know it. And we talked about Israel and being a very big sign of the times, the nation of Israel. And so let's, I think there's another one, but let's move on here. Let's get to our topic of tonight, the arrival of the 10 toes. If you remember in the book of Daniel, chapter 2, there's the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had that caused such a stir. He wanted to know not only what it meant, he couldn't remember the dream. He wanted somebody to tell him his dream and the interpretation. Only one man could do that, and that was Daniel. Daniel told him, you dreamed about a statue with a head of gold. He says, thou art this head of gold. Nebuchadnezzar, the kingdom of Babylon is the head of gold. And then he talked about the shoulders and arms of silver, the breast there, and from silver to brass, and then all the way down to the legs of iron, and then the 10 toes of clay mixed with iron mixed with clay. Okay, get the picture there. I was thinking I had my Daniel study guide here, but I don't see one. There's a picture of the statue on the front of that book you can see. I do not see one handy here, so I guess we'll not worry about it. I don't know if that's one there or not. Forget it. Don't worry about it. So Daniel chapter 2, by the way, Daniel chapter 7, and I talk about this in great detail in my Daniel study guide. If you don't have that, go to the website, click on the bookstore. You can get a copy of the Daniel study guide. It'd be very helpful to you. Daniel 2 and Daniel 7 are the same story, just told a little different. Daniel 2 is man's perspective of the kingdoms of the world. He looks at world kingdoms, politics as precious metals, gold, silver, things of value. That's the way man looks at it. In chapter 7, Daniel is given a dream by God, and God shows Daniel how he looks at the kingdoms of the world. He looks at them as wild beasts that cannot be tamed. And you'll see that they're the same kingdoms that you saw in Daniel chapter 2. But in Daniel chapter 7, those kingdoms are no longer looked at as precious metals and gold and silver, but as animals, beasts, monsters that cannot be restrained, they cannot be tamed. And all right, same thing, just a different perspective and some different lessons there for us. Okay, when you look at the stat, you got the head of gold is Babylon. Babylon is these are the four kingdoms of the world. There's actually five, but that'll take place from the time of the 70-year captivity to the coming of Christ on the white horse, the stone cut out of the mountain without hands. It's going to smash the statue and bring it to powder, and he's going to rule from Jerusalem. It'll be the end of the times of the Gentiles when Christ comes on the white horse. And okay, and so let's look at that statue. Babylon was the king. Was the golden head. It didn't last too long after Daniel chapter 1, 30, 40, 50 years, something like that. 605 down, maybe 65 years, something like that, because the next kingdom takes over and it's the Medes and the Persians. And Daniel's still alive. So it's not that far. It's like 536 BC, something like that. And that's the second kingdom. That's the silver in the statue. They're going to rule for quite a while, and the next kingdom is going to be the kingdom of Greece, and that's several hundred years later. And I think it's in the 300s, BC. It's in the Daniel Study Guide. You can go and check that out. And then you have the Roman Empire taking over. They're going to rule all the way through Christ coming on the scene. They're going to rule for over 500 years and be a world kingdom. Remember the old sayings, all roads lead to Rome? Rome was the kingdom of the world. And okay, and there's a lot that I could say about that, but we'll get sidetracked. And they were in power when Christ comes on the scene. And okay, and then what happens next in the statue is the two legs. Rome's kind of going to be split in two, and then you're going to see, and it's still Rome, but you're going to see the feet on the statue and the 10 toes depicted in Daniel 7 as the 10 horns. Now think about this. What do your toes do? What do you need your toes for? You need your toes for balance and stability and to hold up the kingdom. Those 10 toes are going to hold up the statue. And I've said so many times in my lectures that when you get to the 10 toes, now the entire statue from Babylon, the head, Babylon, Medes and the Persian Empire, the Greek Empire, and Rome, all becomes one, stands upon its feet, and it will once again rule the entire world. All four of those kingdoms will have a part in that. And so the 10 toes. So what the 10 horns? What is the significance of a horn? We're talking about a horn on like the horn on a steer, or a horn on a bull, or some other antelope. A buck has antlers, horns. What are they for? They're to show force. They're to force others to conform and to give in. They're also for protection and defense, but they're also for a stature. You look at that big buck up on the top of a field up there, and uh, it's like he's telling you, I'm the king of the forest here, and don't get in my way. Stature. And so these horns, same thing as the toes. They have to do with promoting and defeating other nations and or in our analogy here, other animals and other beasts. And so, what do you do with the horn? You push things. You push things. You move things. You use that horn to get somebody to conform and get out of your way, or to get in line. Do you see what I'm saying? The horns, the 10 horns are there to force people and kingdoms into line or out of line, right? And just like the 10 toes, they allow the kingdom to stand upon its feet and tower above everybody else, and the 10 toes are there to steady it, right? Okay, you with me there? Now, let me read you a little bit. Recently, very recently, this month, or I should say last month, January, President Trump has done something no president has ever done, except possibly the former United Nations and things like that. But I've never seen nothing like what's going on right now. When I first heard about this, I said, "Man, you know what this sounds like? This sounds like the beginnings of the 10 toes. The 10 toes. Most prosy people agree that when the Antichrist comes to power, or right before he does, and at the time of his coming to power. By the way, who is it that crowns him in chapter 6? It's going to be more than likely, it's going to be those 10 toes. We've always felt like these are 10 kingdoms of the world. In fact, you can find maps out there where people have already mapped it out. The 10 regions of the world will become the 10 kingdoms. And the Antichrist will rule over them, and they're going to crown him and empower him. And there'll be a little bit of fighting here and there, but eventually, the Antichrist will be the supreme ruler. Certainly, by the middle of the tribulation, when he enters the temple, he's God at that time. At that moment, he's declared he's God. And so, let me read you a little bit, and I'm going to close with something from Revelation 17 that I'm going to read to you, and that I prepared. Let me read a little bit about what's going on with this peace thing that Donald Trump has come up with. The Board of Peace, I believe he's calling it. The Board of Peace. By the way, I mean, it's not a bad idea, right? Don't we want peace? Okay, so let's. It's interesting though. It's almost like Mr. Trump has decided the United Nations is useless. And it's almost like he's not even acknowledging that they exist. NATO, same thing. He's ignoring NATO as if they don't exist. And he's forming his own world council here. This is pretty amazing. Ever heard of anything like this in your life? I'll show you something in the Bible about it in a minute, but let me just read a few things. This is from Julia Frankel. This is Jerusalem Associated Press. More than 20 countries. This is from January 27th. So this is a few days old, 5-6 days old. More than 20 countries have said they will join President Trump and his Board of Peace While a few European nations have declined their invitations, by the way, invitation only. You don't just step up and say, look, where do I sign? I want to be in this. You got to be invited in. This board belongs to Donald Trump. And by the way, I'm not so sure that it has anything to do with him being president. If this was 2028 or whatever, and a new president steps into power, I'm not sure that changes anything. The way I see it, the way it's written, or at least as I have read, is that he's the chairman and he alone decides who takes his place. The next president doesn't automatically take his place. This has nothing to do with him being the president. He has organized this thing. And by the way, it costs $1 billion to join if you're invited first. To join, you have so much time to put up or shut up, put up your $1 billion into the fund because it's going to take money to run this. Yeah. Hey, have I got your attention yet? This is interesting. Now, listen to this. It's chaired by President Trump. The board was originally envisioned as a small group of world leaders. The first time I heard him mention it, there were literally going to be 10. And my antenna went up. 10? Like the 10 toes? Like the 10 horns? Now, that's changed now. But I personally think if this is what we think it could be, if it is, it will eventually, over time, or at least right before the rapture or just after the rapture, these 50 seats or these however many there will be at that time, eventually they're going to be zoned and they'll become 10 regions with somebody overseeing it. And it'll be some of these men here. All right, now I'm speculating there a little bit. The Trump administration's, let's see, it was going to be a small group. I believe it was originally going to be 10. And they were going to oversee the Gaza ceasefire plan and the country, the land of the Gaza Strip there. But the Trump administration's ambitions have expanded, with Trump extending invitations to dozens of nations and hinting at the board's future role as a conflict mediator. That appears to pose a challenge to the United Nations, which are just sitting there like idiots, and its most powerful body, the 15-member Security Council. That's within the United Nations. Trump last week told reporters we're going to have, I think, over 50 countries join. And the Associated Press has given a list here of some of these countries, and I'll give you some of them here. Let me skip this here. Countries that say they will join. By the way, eventually you got to put up $1 billion. Countries that say they will join: Argentina, Albania, Armenia. I can't say some of these. Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Belarus, Bulgaria. This is in alphabetical order. Egypt, El Salvador, Indonesia, Jordan, Pakistan, Kuwait, Morocco, and I'm skipping some of them here for time. Mongolia, Pakistan, Paraguay, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, United Arab Emirates, Uzbekistan, Vietnam. Then here's a list of countries. This is worth paying attention to. A list of countries that will not join in this. At least for now, it says. Listen to this. Canada. Trump has revoked the Canadian Prime Minister his invitation, Mark Carney's. Trump's pretty upset with Canada. France has said no. Germany, Greece, Italy, Norway, Slovenia, Sweden, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, the Ukraine. Isn't that funny? Countries invited but not yet committed: China, Croatia, Cyprus, India, the European Union's executive arm, Russia, and Singapore. Um, Interesting, huh? And so now I got something else I want to read for you here. What I'm going to read for you now, this is, I'm not sure if she wrote this, but it's authored by Jan Markell, dated today, February the 3rd, 2026, Olive Tree Ministries. And some of what she says in here, she's quoting from other people, but um, here's what she says. And she's got like 14 points. I'm going to skim just briefly for you in just a second here, because I thought whoever put this together, whether it was Jan or some other folks, she did a pretty good job. And many of these are things that I was planning to bring out, but they got it all here. So I'm just going to. The Bible describes a future period in which authority is concentrated not solely in traditional kingdoms, but in a limited number of powerful figures who operate beyond national boundaries. The 10 toes, the 10 regions. And that is why I'm paying close attention to President Trump's Board of Peace. Here are some facts. Number one, President Trump will serve as the chairman. I said that already. He's the chairman. He's the boss hoss. Yep. And I have a feeling he can throw people off if he wants. It's going to be his baby. And he's going to serve as the chairman. This is going to help resolve conflicts globally. He has the sole authority to invite new members and appoint a successor. That's in the charter. They don't vote on a successor. He appoints him. What do you think of them apples? Number two, global peace seems to be their goal. Though they will participate in other global duties as well, the immediate focus of the Board of Peace will be Gaza, though there was no word about Gaza in the charter. Number three, a lot of the godless people seem to be in charge, such as Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, Tony Blair, and almost 60 more movers and shakers. Most have a worldly view of the world and of peace. They're globalists, worldly people, unsaved, don't know the Bible. Okay. Though originally announced as an international body created to oversee the rebuilding and initial governance of Gaza, the document curiously never mentions Gaza. Why? Does President Trump envision this as the beginnings of an alternative or replacement to the United Nations? At face value, that sounds like a great idea. That was number four. Number five, the price tag for a nation state being a member, 1 billion buckaroos. 1 billion pesos, $1 billion. Number six, most European countries, including United Kingdom, France, Germany, have declined a position on this board. They're still in shock, I think. They're still saying, who does he think he is? Does he think he's more powerful than the United Nations? Undoubtedly, he is. I've been saying that for some time. I've been saying, I think I've said it on the TV show, Donald Trump right now is based technically ruling the world. Now, I realize every country has leaders and some come and go, but when Donald Trump speaks, people move. You ever watch him in a crowd? You ever watch him in a crowd of world leaders? You ever watch him? You ever watch people around him? Everyone on the platform knows, whether they like him or not, they know that he's the boss hoss of the world. You don't believe that? You're welcome to your opinion. That's fine. And whether it's right, whether it's wrong, I'm not saying either. I'm saying it's a fact. The world leaders fear him. They look to him for money and protection. And you didn't see that with Mr. Biden. You saw it a little bit with Obama in a different way, but never been a man like this man as the president. And no, I do not believe he's the Antichrist. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I don't think so. The Board of Peace will be run by artificial intelligence. It's clearly preparing the Mark of the Beast system. And the Mark of the Beast system is, we talk about all the time. It's here. That's not enforced yet, and you're not told you can't buy and sell unless you have this mark, and that's not here yet. But the system is here, and it won't take nothing once the rapture happens. It'll fall into play. In fact, it don't actually come into play until the middle of the tribulation, 3.5 years after the rapture. But that doesn't mean the system's not here and being used. And the one world financial system, which by the way is already here. You say, Brother Good, oh, no, Russia's got their rubles, and the Spanish have their money, and we got the British has the pound. Listen, when you go to buy something online, maybe you buy it from Great Britain, or you buy it from Moscow, or you buy it from Mexico. You don't go and get rubles or pesos or British pounds. What do? You put your credit card in, you put your bank account number, and monies are transferred. We're already a one world financial system, whether you think it or not. Um, um, I've sold guitars to people in Russia. They don't run to their bank and and turn their rubles into dollars so that they can pay me. They punch some numbers on the keyboard, and it takes it out of their bank, the right amount of rubles to match the right amount of dollars, and it shows up in my bank as dollars. Are you with me now? Do you understand what I'm saying? We're already tied together. The whole world is tied together financially, digitally. Digital. Now, you walk around with paper money and you go overseas, it's complicated then. Now you got to go and exchange your paper money for their paper money and get the right value, dollar for a ruble and vice versa, right? The newly established Board of Peace is organized into a tiered hierarchy of multiple levels of oversight committees. And so there's going to be levels of this thing, and different committees and different people are going to deal with different types of things. Russia has been invited. And Jan says, how can a country engaged in a brutal war be a part of a board of peace? um, we teamed up with Russia for World War II. I believe that was after Stalin had killed millions of his own people. War brings strange bedfellows, they say. The Pope has been invited. I posted this, I think, on my page several days ago. The Pope has been invited to have a seat on this board. Now, listen, listen, listen. This is not in her notes here, I don't think. Listen. What does that mean? That means the Pope is a world leader. He is the head of a kingdom. The Vatican. Did you know the Vatican has ambassadors that they send out? Do you know that we have an ambassador to the Vatican? For years, it was Newt Gingrich's wife. In fact, it may still be. She may still be holding that position. I'm not sure. What does that mean? That means they're a kingdom. They are a kingdom. And they're like a nation state. And he's been offered a seat on this committee. Now, Jan wrote, an end-time establishment is surely not complete without participation from the Vatican. The world awaits a spiritual leader. And it's yet to see what this man's going to be like, and what kind of influence he's going to have. It could be him. It could be somebody else in the Roman Church. We're not sure yet. I have some thoughts on that. I don't know if I'm right, but I have some thoughts on that. But that's not for today. Israel is invited, but is outraged to be on a platform with Qatar and Turkey in the same organization. Number 12, the Board of Peace seeks to promote stability, restore dependable and lawful governance, and secure enduring peace in areas affected or threatened by conflict. Now, I think Donald Trump means well, but this is a system destined for serious problems, just like the United Nations. I wouldn't give a dime for the United Nations. This is not how to rule the world. In fact, we're not meant to rule the world. Jesus is coming back to rule the world. Um, I don't see anything. I don't see anything good coming. In fact, I see this headed towards the end times. Fast forward down the hill on a runaway locomotive. And I think Mr. Trump means well. I think he wants peace. I think he is hoping that this will bring peace to the world. And it's going to bring something to the world. When they say peace, peace, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. Right? Is that possibly what that verse is talking about? This right here? 13 questionable and shady outfits such as the World Economic Forum may participate. These people aren't elected and plenty are shady characters. It has been suggested that many participants are kings without kingdoms. And I'm going to read you something in just a minute about that. Prussia News Watch said it best, a peace guaranteed by outsiders. In other words, you have a nation, and your nation is guaranteed peace by somebody outside your nation. In other words, they're over you. Is that right? Is that would you want our country to answer to some board over in Great Britain somewhere or in China, and the chairman of that board is Z from China, and he determines whether you can burn wood in your house or not? Or whether you can have a car that burns gasoline. You don't think that's where this will head? I guarantee you this will head there. I guarantee you. This isn't just about keeping an army from attacking another country. This will evolve into you're hurting the earth. You know, you guys gotta quit polluting, and you got to do this. You got that kind of thing. And they're going to have a lot of clout. They're going to have armies to back it up. A peace guaranteed by outsiders. Power consolidated in elite hands. Decisions about Israel may be made from, may be far from Jerusalem, maybe not be made in Jerusalem anymore. A world growing comfortable with governance by committee rather than covenant. By the way, I can see the unwalled villages here when Israel gets attacked, when they're at peace. This world governance thing could possibly suddenly bring peace and stability to Israel after all these decades. But it won't last long. Since organizers claim it will solve all of the world's problems, I don't know who made that statement, but it is a tribulation that could be preparing the way for a global leader. And that is not likely to be President Trump, but keep your eyes on Jared Kushner. A lot of folks are watching Jared Kushner. I certainly am. I don't know if he's somebody that's going to have a part to play or not, but there's some interesting things about him. The Board of Peace will undoubtedly shut out the Prince of Peace, and thus will fail. Additionally, I won't read, that's about it. Now, I want to close with something I wrote here from Revelation 17 in verse 12. The 10 kings are leaders who have not yet received a kingdom. Let me bring that up because I don't have that verse in front of me. Let me get that right here. I want to read that for you, and I don't have my Bible in front of me, so let me bring it up on here. Probably Van will have that up before I get it, but let me bring it up here. Oh, great. There goes the, hang on. I put my hand where I wasn't supposed to and knocked that off. Here we go. Sorry about that. Did I scare anybody? All right, Revelation 12. Let me get my mouse and let me stay away from that. Um, well, that ain't it. Where'd that go? Revelation. Oh, I know what I did. I got to get out of there. Here we go. 17, 12. Here we go. All right, here we go. Revelation 17:12. I hope this is King James. I think it is. Revelation 17:12 states that the 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received. Well, that's not it. I want to read the verse. Where's the verse? Is this it? Here we go. All right, I got it. I got it. We're not done. We're not done yet. Hang on. Here it is. Let me start in verse 9. Here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th and is of the 7 and goeth into perdition. That's tough reading right there. Now, verse 12 says this, and the 10 horns which thou sawest. Now, the 10 horns would go back to Daniel 7. It's the same story. It's the same kingdoms. It's just horns instead of the 10 toes, right? I explained that at the beginning. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. The beast is the Antichrist. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. This is Christ coming on the white horse. So there's a lot there. But what I want you to see here is eventually there will be 10 horns, 10 toes, 10 kingdoms, so to speak. But the Bible seems to insinuate that there are 10 kings which have received no kingdom yet. Now let me read something for you here. The 10 kings are leaders who have not yet received a kingdom, but they will receive authority to reign with the beast for an hour, for a single hour. Now, that doesn't mean 60 minutes. That means probably, it could be 7 years, it could be 3.5 years. It's during the tribulation. 3 kings these kings are depicted as horns, and I explained horns at the beginning of the show, right? I talked about the 10 toes. They give stability. The feet and the toes allow the statue to stand. The Gentile kingdom, finally, at the end of time, the times of the Gentiles has arrived. It stands upon its feet. The Babylonian kingdom, the Medes and the Persians, Greece, Rome, all put together. One kingdom, one man, one ring to rule them all from the Lord of the Rings. There it is, the Antichrist. One man to rule them all. That's where this is headed. That's man, I want to say something, but I'm not going to say it. So what do horns do? I explained the toes and the feet. It allows you to move and stand and defend and fight. The horn, same thing. You look at animals, you look at cattle, you look at a couple of bull moose. They put their head down, they got their horns, and they fight. The horns are there to move things out of the way, to move other animals out of the way, other people out of the way, other nations out of the way. They're used as a show of strength. You stand there and you hold your head with the horns, and people back off. Like standing there with an AK-47 or an AR-15, people back off. Oh, this guy has power. That's what the horns represent in the story there. The four beasts and the last one there has the 10 horns, right? And what does a cow do? What does an animal do with a horn? The goat. They push stuff out of the way. They use them for defense or for offense, and right? Same thing in our kingdom. These horns depict something of power, something that moves things out of the way and has an agenda. Get out of my way. Get on my side, or I'll stab you with my horn. Right? All right. Let me continue here. These 10 kings are leaders that have not yet received the kingdom, but they will receive authority to reign with the beast for an hour. These kings are likened as horns, destined to align with the beast, to one day oppose the Lamb, the Lord Jesus, sharing their power with him until the end of that short prophetic period. And again, I don't believe it's a literal hour. Key details regarding the 10 kings with no kingdom: symbolism. They represent 10 leaders, as I just said, 10 leaders who hold power and authority, but they lack a literal established property of a kingdom. Independent kings prior to that brief joint rule with the beast. Purpose: they are united in purpose, giving all their power and authority to the beast to make war against the Lamb, Jesus Christ. Their reign is described as lasting for 1 hour, emphasizing the temporary nature of their rule. It could be 7 years. It could be the final 3.5 years. Despite their power, these kings will be overcome by a lamb. These beasts with horns are going to be overcome by a lamb that that arrives. By the way, he's coming on a white stallion. And he's King of Kings. He's Lord of Lords. And this prophecy often links with the idea of a final global or reorganized power structure that arises at the end of the age to oppose God and all that God represents. And in Revelation 17, the 10 horns or kings are distinct from the 7 heads and the 7 kings and kingdoms, which 5 have fallen, 1 is, and 1 is yet to come. That's not the same 10 horns, okay? So all that just to say, and it's a lot for you to grasp. You're not going to get all of this in one take here like this. I'm just trying to whet your appetite. Keep your eyes open. He that hath ears, let him hear. They have eyes to see, ears to hear. Not everybody does. Look what's going on. I said this when I wrote my Daniel study guide, and I've said it to Doc many times in the studio. The 10 toes are there, and at that moment of the 10 toes, the statue stands upon its feet. When you go to Revelation chapter 13, verses 1 and 2, in fact, I think I can get there. I'm in chapter 17. Let me, I did it again. I'm putting my hand up here to get the mouse, and I'm knocking that off. I apologize once again. All right. Here we go. I think I can get to the chapter right here. Here we go. All right, I went right by it. Chapter 13, verse 1 and 2. Listen to this. You've heard me say this 100 times, but I'll say it again. Daniel chapter 2 and Daniel chapter 7. Remember Daniel chapter 2, the statue? Daniel chapter 7, the 4 beasts. Same story, just different characters explaining it. Revelation 13 goes with that. It's the same kingdoms. Revelation 13 looks at it backwards. Why is that? Because John is in the future going backwards. So he starts with Rome and goes back the other way, right? All the way to ending with Babylon. Okay. Verse 1 and 2, Revelation 13, I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Nothing good comes out of this world empire. Nothing. Blasphemy against God. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. Where do we see that? Daniel chapter 7. And his feet were like the feet of a bear. Don't confuse that with the bear from the North Russia. It's not the same here. This is talking about the four kingdoms of Daniel 2 and Daniel 7. But he's looking at them backwards. The leopard, it would be, Rome going backwards, okay? The leopard, the feet as a bear, mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. All the power that these kingdoms of these end times are going to have are going to come from the dragon, not from the Lord Jesus Christ. And it goes on to talk about one of his heads was wounded to death, and a deadly wound was healed, and all that. We won't get into that. So these kingdoms we know that they're coming. We know that at the end time, when the Antichrist comes on the scene, either before or right at that time, the world will be divided into 10 nations, or at least 10 kings, depending on how you look at Revelation 17 there. Kings without a kingdom. That could mean different things. And like the Pope. Who's the Pope? They own the Vatican. That's about it, right? But yet he's likened on. He's a world leader. He's looked upon as a king of a nation and a kingdom. So this board of peace, though it may sound good, it may sound like something that will be a great help. And by the way, it may be for a while. With the right man behind it, like Donald Trump, if he stays true, it could be used for good. But when you have a power like that, it's awful tempting to use that power in ways that maybe you really don't have the right to do so. And I'm not sure anybody should have that kind of power. And I'm not sure how many people can handle that kind of power. And anyway, so keep your eyes on this. And like I said, it sure looks to me like this thing is going to dwarf into the 10 toes, the 10 horns of the beast, and be that governing thing that the Antichrist will come and rule over in a very short period of time, possibly this fall. All right, let's see what we got for comment. We got a lot of folks on tonight, and let's go back and see what we've got. I know we got a lot of scriptures that Van has put up. Let's see. As predicate your ministry, hello from Omaha. Carrie Julie Rosenquist. Glad to have you. Casual Observer 26. Exactly, Brother Goodwin. Perilous times for sure. Let's see. And Van's putting some scriptures up there. Esther is here, late again. And I hope her thumb is doing well. We prayed for that yesterday. Van is not doing better, so I have an appointment on Monday. All right, pray for Esther's appointment on Monday with her thumb. Pretty soon you're going to get a new thumb, Esther, when that trumpet sounds. And, okay, O'Shea, let's see, scripture, let me pass those by. Ramon said something, but it's gone. All right, Van said, I think the 10 kings are 10 super rich people because they don't have a kingdom. Hey, Elon Musk, has anybody heard? Elon Musk is not one of the, has he been invited on this? That would prove Van's point that these are not just people who oversee a nation, but, interesting. Didn't we read Tony Blair was one of them? He's not over a nation. He used to be. He's not anymore. So Van's got a good point there. What do you think Moses and Elijah will say to the Jewish people about this man? I believe they will know who he is. They will be preaching to Jesus. Oh, of course they will. Moses and Elijah are coming down from heaven. And they're not in paradise anymore. They're in heaven. They're coming down, and they're going to be the two witnesses. And I believe I can prove that that's who they are in Matthew chapter 17 and the transfiguration. So they're certainly going to know, but their ministry is not to overthrow the Antichrist. In fact, he's going to kill them after 3.5 years. And they're going to be left dead in the streets for 3.5 days. Then they're going to send to heaven. That's when the 140,000 are going to get saved. I can show you that in Revelation 11, verse 13, I think, something like that. Any other day, I'd rattle that off, and I've drawn a blank. Revelation 11:13, I believe. And, um, okay, let me see, where was I? So the two witnesses ministry is not nothing to do with the Antichrist. It's all about preaching to Israel, the 12 tribes, and getting them the gospel, getting them the word of God, and getting them into the into God's service, into salvation. And okay, let's see. There's a verse there, another verse. The current U.S. ambassador to the Vatican is Brian Birch. Okay, so Newt Gingrich's wife is not. All right, probably Mr. Biden took her out already. I should have thought of that. She was there under the first Trump administration. She was the ambassador to the Vatican, and probably Biden switched that, and now Trump's put somebody in there, I guess. And wish global warming was true. I could use some warm weather. And let's see. Well, this has been a fabulous study. Thanks for teaching, Brother Goodwin. That's Casual Observer. Are you new to our page? I don't recognize your name there, Casual Observer. And if you're new, welcome. And glad to have you here. That's all right, Dan. This old guy's can be pretty clumsy. Us old guys, he said. Okay, he's talking about me dropping the phone. How many times did I do it? At least twice, maybe 3 times. You'd think I'd have figured it out after the first time. Okay, let's see. A living snowplow. I don't know what that means, but all right, he put Revelation 13 up there for us. And I'm going to research Brian Birch now that I know his name. I don't know if that person is of any importance or not, but it's just, we have an ambassador to all the nations, and they have ambassadors at ours. He shall stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. I love it. The stone cut out of the mountain without hands is going to crush the entire statue. Title grabbed everyone's attention. I know it did mine. I didn't want to miss this broadcast. So Casual Observer is someone, I think they follow our ministry, but maybe they don't come on here that often. I don't know. Okay. Just tell us what you were going to tell us. I don't know what that means. Okay. Well, listen, we'll try to get back on tomorrow. We do have church tomorrow, so it may be later. If I get on, we'll see. And we'll have some more interesting observations for you coming up. Probably we may dwell on this a little bit for the next few days and give you some more. Someone wants to know what I wanted to say but didn't say. I'd have to go back and get the context again to remember what it is that I wanted to say, but I decided not to. I can't remember. Anybody remember the context? What I was talking about? Because what I was talking about, there was something I wanted to say. And I decided it would be a rabbit hole that would draw me away. And but we all like rabbit holes. We all like those. And all right, I'd have to listen to this again to see what that was. I can't remember it right now. You said a horn pushes everything away. So I said it's a living snowplow because of that. Okay. Um, I can't remember the context of what it was that I wanted to say. It was some insight on something that that I think a lot of people maybe have not considered, but I can't remember what it was now. Sorry. And even if I did, it may be something I don't want to share right now on here. Um, anyway, okay. Listen, keep your eyes on them sky. Oh, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Hit the little bell so you get alerts when we come on, and share this on your social media pages. Will you do that? All right. Keep your eyes